Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom Orr. Tom, how's it going?
Tony, it is our very favorite kind of show. It is one where we get to talk about stonks. That is the we love the stonks meme. It is time to talk about who people whose stock is up, or to shorthand it for the kids, stonks.
Stonks. Today, we're talking about which offensive players are stock rising based on what we've heard, what we've seen in fall camp time. I'm going to go first. And I'm just going to do this one. I'm going to say Bo Jackson, because if you want to talk about buying low at the start of fall camp when it was Isaiah West running with the wands and everybody is like, what's wrong with Bo? Well, I guess it's time to move on from Bo, poor Bo, all of this stuff. And maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. But then over the course of the next week or two, you've heard nothing but good things about his performance in camp, his ability to get past the second level, to break tackles, Ryan Day raving about him, and all of that from where he started on day one of fall camp to where he is now. I don't know if anybody's made a bigger trajectory, which is almost dumb to say considering he rushed for 1,000 yards as a true freshman.
Right. This is one where I don't know. I think you get the sense that he's certainly shown them more than he had in the spring than he did. He didn't show anything in the spring because he was banged up, but then he showed them last year in terms of the second level stuff. That's the thing that Ryan Day is really looking for. Can you either run around someone or run through someone at the second level? And it feels like he is doing that now in a way that he just didn't do it last year. I don't. This is also like, I feel like if we had done this show a week and a half ago, we would be saying Isaiah West. And I don't know if anything has really changed in the last 10 days other than just the conversation around the running back room has changed a little bit. I don't know how much that's actually manifested itself on the field, but I think Isaiah West is still stock up. He's not the guy I'm going to talk about here. He's certainly stock up, but he's not necessarily stock up over the last 10 days as much as he is over the last 2 months, something like that, 3 months.
Right.
So I'm going to go with someone who we have heard plenty about this month, and that is Chris Henry Jr. And Chris Henry Jr. is, we always tend to take the approach of don't be the ones who are racing out to tell you that this freshman is the one who's going to walk on water and is going to be able to do, he's going to be able to turn the water in the Gatorade coolers into wine at halftime. Just you wait. That's not generally the approach we take. We would rather be right than be early on a lot of this stuff. That being said, it feels like the expectations for Chris Henry Jr., even among the two people on this podcast, are up substantially since the start of fall camp, just based on a little bit what we saw and a lot of what we're hearing over the last week and a half. He is making plays that you're kind of thinking, well, if he's going to contribute this year, that's what it would look like. If he's physically ready to do some of these things, and it feels like he may be physically ready to do these things. And to me, I've gone, I think my general assumption with a great potential freshman player is like the Chris Olave trajectory, where you sort of show up around mid to late October and you start playing a bigger role. That's a great freshman season for a true freshman, and that's sort of where my expectation starts for these guys. I'm looking at September. I am exploring the calendar in September in terms of this might be someone who I'm expecting to do some stuff against Texas. And I'm not saying, oh, he's going to have 500 yards and 3 touchdowns against Texas. Like, no one's saying that. But he's probably more likely to be playing meaningful snaps and making some kind of impact against Texas than I would have said even 10 days ago.
Yeah, I absolutely expect him to play against Texas. He looks comfortable out there. He's smooth. The other thing that is always noticeable is when these freshmen that come in are targeted a lot, there's a reason for that, and he gets targeted a lot. So that means something to me. Tom, when we did our Chris Henry Jr. expectations show, the most recent one after, so it was at the end of June, I put together these numbers of 26 catches, 368 yards, and 5 touchdowns. based on what you know now, what you have seen now, how do you feel about that? 26 for 368 and 5. Is that too low, Tom?
The one that really jumps out to me as low is the 368. I'd probably have him somewhere in the 400, 450 to 500, maybe. 5 touchdowns is still, that would still be a heck of a freshman season to have 5 touchdowns. Give him another couple catches and another 80 to 100 yards, something like that. And I think that's again, there's you don't get any prize for being the guy who says 1,800 yards for the true freshman receiver and then saying, well, he was actually a bust. Like, no, that's, if you're putting that on a true freshman receiver, that's on you. That's not on the true freshman receiver. But again, you put those numbers, if he ends up at 450, 500 yards, you put those in the historical context of Ohio State true freshman wide receiver seasons. That's like the third best, give or take, maybe fourth best true freshman wide receiver yardage season in Ohio State program history. So, you're looking at that against Jeremiah Smith's numbers and going, well, that's nothing. It's like, yes, that's why we tell you never to measure anyone against Jeremiah Smith.
450 yards receiving would tie him for third best with David Boston, just in case you were wondering. And David Boston was a guy who certainly played in the first game because he scored two or three touchdowns in that game, but became a starter in the second half of the season, eventually moving past Buster Tillman. Tom, 30 years ago. God, you were so old.
Back in those days, you only had 8 people on punt coverage. That just popped up in my feed the other day, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, boy, the grainy footage, the track around the field. It was like, boy, I was at that game as an Ohio State student, and boy, howdy, does that feel like a long time ago.
Can I just, when we talk about these guys whose stock is up, if we don't mention somebody, it's not because they're also not doing well. Like you mentioned, Isaiah West, like Apple stock and Google stock could do just fine, but we may only talk about one. And then if I'm just talking about Julian Sayin, it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, like the sure bet, but he's like, everything we're hearing, he is in control and he's throwing the ball well. We know he can do that. I think when you've got Jeremiah, but he's not always out there now, and so you're finding these other weapons and you're seeing what can be used, how to utilize them. I think this is all fun for Julian to find this new portion of his offense, and also learning from Arthur Smith and learning a new offense, seeing different things and having the control over those, and knowing what you're doing with this new offense, and just basically attaching himself to Arthur Smith and being given so much control. None of this has been too much for him to this point from anything we've heard or seen. So when your quarterback is operating at a high level and wants more, like, to me, that's a very good sign of a guy who is at his best right now and should show it on the field.
Well, first, let me say how disappointed I am in you in taking what I thought was going to be my very clever second pick here. And I thought, well, he won't say Julian Sayin because it's a little bit out of the box, but I think Julian Sayin has the expectations in my mind for what Julian Sayin is going to be this year. I already had reasonably high expectations that he was going to take another step forward, but everything you're seeing, everything you're hearing about how the offense is functioning right now, a lot of that has to do with Julian Sayin. And Arthur Smith, the way he's talking about Julian Sayin, I think he feels like he can put a lot on Julian Sayin's plate and it won't be too much. And this is someone who the last couple of years has been working with Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. So if that's your sort of baseline for, okay, here's what I'm expecting to put on a quarterback's plate, and you're coming in with a redshirt sophomore in college, third-year player in college, and it doesn't sound like you're really dumbing it down with baby's first offensive checks or whatever. Like it feels like he has been pleasantly surprised with what he's gotten out of Julian Sayin so far this year. So yeah, that was going to be my next one. So instead, I'm going to go with Ian Moore, and this is one where I think people might say, well, why? Because you came into the fall expecting him to be the starter, and they still haven't named the starter, so how has anything changed? And the stuff that you're hearing behind the scenes continues to be that they view him as a very high ceiling player. And I think our expectation for him was that Ian Moore at left tackle was going to be the most high ceiling offensive line that they could potentially put out there. They have lots of good other options. Sometimes when you have a positional battle, it's, well, this guy's okay, that guy's okay. Which of the guys is slightly better version of okay? That's not what this feels like. I think if it's Josh Padilla at right guard and Austin Searveld at left tackle, or Austin Searveld at right tackle, or Ian Moore at right tackle, I think there's lots of ways this offense could be good. I just feel like the conversation around Ian Moore it's never really wavered. It's just been consistently good this fall. And again, we entered fall camp with reasonably high expectations for him. I just feel like the overall trend line there continues to go up.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I wrote about 5 names whose stock is up on offense, and we have not talked about this. I wrote about it for Tuesday, and so far we've mentioned 4 of the 5 names, and Ian Moore was one of those. And I'm with you. I think he puts the potential, if he is, the silly thing is, if he can be as good as Austin Searveld, it's like, well, you've already got Austin Searveld. So the fact that they're even exploring this already tells you how they feel and what they believe he is, because they're not doing that with anybody else. They're not like saying, let's see what Sam Greer could do at left tackle. He's doing it with the 2s and the 3s. Like, no, they believe they know the answer to this, and they just want to confirm it. This is more confirmation than anything to me, Tom, that let's just confirm our suspicions. We'll put them out there. I bet it's going to be okay. And they're watching it, and it's like, yep, it looks okay. And so, yes, he's stock up. I would agree with that. I mean, just for the simple fact, Austin Searveld, so experienced, second team All Big Ten left tackle. Like that, the fact that they're looking at him, Ian Moore at left tackle, should just go ahead. Yes, stock is high for him, even if he doesn't end up winning the job. Mm-hmm. That there's still a message there that he is a very viable player at some point. I do think it will be this year. My last guy, Tom, I'm just going to go with, I'm on the Devin McCuin train. Mm-hmm. So I was very cautious with my expectations for him, not knowing how the step up would translate to Ohio State from UTSA, not seeing much from him in the spring. I think I said I recall like 2 catches, 2 plays that he made in the spring, and really they were just basic, a catch and a run, and maybe just a catch on the sideline. But what I've seen in the first 2 practices, and didn't see in the third, that was when you were there, and like everything I told you about the first 2 practices, none of it came to fruition on that third. So I know you think I'm crazy right now, Tom, but it's hard to ignore what I saw and some of the things we've heard. So based on where I had him, I don't care about where anybody else had him. Based on where I had him in May to where I've got him now, at least in my own stock, like if I were to sell like Tony coin right now, very, very high. Buy now.
Tony coin, diamond hands to the moon. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. That's if you, when you were talking about the fact that you had 5 names on here, I thought, I bet the 5th one is Devin McCuin. Cause it's really, that's kind of, that's really kind of where I think we should make this 5 guys who are stock up. Cause that's kind of the last name that I had, that I was thinking about. It's a guy who, coming out of the spring, we just didn't see that much this spring. We just, the passing game was a little bit basic. They weren't doing a ton of stuff downfield, and downfield is where Devin McCuin potentially can make a lot of impact. And so when you're seeing it this fall, and I'm taking your word for it on this one, when you're seeing it this fall, I think that's, that has moved the needle for me a little bit in terms of what the expectation is. Cause you came into the fall thinking, well, is it Devin McCuin? Is it Kyle Parker? Who's going to sort of take that step? And Kyle Parker has been banged up. So this is, it's not a completely fair fight, but it does feel like Devin McCuin has taken a real step forward. while Kyle Parker has been out. He's sort of taken advantage of that opportunity. So yeah, I think that is. I think we are sadly in agreement here. No argument here. No embracing debate here. We are in agreement on the 5 Buckeyes who are stock up on offense.
Yeah, and I do think the downfield stuff is something that we haven't necessarily talked about enough with them, because before it's all of the short, quick passing, screens, and things like that. But what I saw downfield is really what has impressed me and caused the stock to rise. And I'm telling you, get in now. And then once everybody's in, we can crash it, and it's fine. But don't want to crash anything. Want to hit the thumbs up if you're watching. In fact, we want to invite everybody over to BuckeyeInsiders.com as well. Sign up, become a member. We're talking television, talking movies, talking football, talking basketball, all kinds of stuff about the season upcoming. Lots of things to get excited about with this Ohio State football team. So best place to engage, talk about it with us, talk about it with other, talk about it with your fellow Buckeye fans is at BuckeyeInsiders.com. Would love to see you over there. That will do it from here. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later.